there is a strong forwarder focus. So we also say we try to speak the language of the forwarders. So we really try to learn from them what is important for them, what is needed for them in terms of resources, in terms of capacities, in terms of infrastructure. Part of our master plan is also that we will now develop dedicated areas, we call them second line areas, which are dedicated for the development of facilities for forwarders to cater the very specific needs that forwarders have for certain commodities like pharma, like perishables, but also like e-commerce.
Hi everybody, this is Libin Chacko Kurian from Stat Media Group. We are here in Shanghai for Air Cargo China 2024. Right now I'm joined by Torsten Wefers. He is the Vice President Sales and Marketing at Liege Airport. Torsten, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. So you have a very ambitious target for Liege Airport that you want to be the top 3 European cargo hubs by 2040 and also handle 2.3 million tons of cargo annually. Give us an idea about what makes you believe Liege Airport can achieve that. What is the kind of demand that you are seeing in this market?
Yes, that's right. We put a very ambitious plan and a very ambitious vision in place to be the top 3 in 2040. So obviously this is not based on a dream. There are also some hard facts, and there is a traffic forecast. So this is backed really by the figures. So what we see, of course, at Liege Airport in the last couple of years has seen a very strong development, which is obviously number one, backed a lot about e-commerce. So there, of course, we see a big market. It's a big market which is booming. And obviously Liege is already the biggest e-commerce hub of Europe. But there, of course, we expect much more traffic. On top of that, we see a lot of opportunities coming from certain other commodities. So we are also quite big in perishables. The pharma, of course, is also increasing that. It is also based on the fact that Liege, as you might know, is located very centrally in Europe. So we are right in the middle of the so-called Golden Triangle, which means we are very well located for the import market. So a lot of the fulfillment warehouses are around Liege, around Belgium, but also for the export market. So we see a very strong demand for that. So, as you know, we are very active, of course, in the freighter market. We are very active in the freighter market. We see a lot of demand for additional flights in Liege. Again, it has to do with our strong location. We have a lot of free capacities, which nowadays, of course, especially at some other European cargo hubs, is quite rare. So we can give a lot of our cargo customers the potential for strategic growth. And I also have to say that other airports around us, which are already quite limited in terms of capacity, in terms of night curfews and all that kind of stuff, are also helping us a little bit in this very strong development. So all this is really leading to the fact that we are quite positive to reach these numbers as of 2040.
Okay, thanks for that information. Speaking about the volumes that you handle, in a recent interview, while you were speaking about the fluctuations in cargo that's seen in last few years, you mentioned, and I quote, our newly developed commercial strategy is resulting in increased numbers in both movements and tonnage. Give me an idea about what is that commercial strategy that you have implemented at the airport.
So Liege has been historically a transit airport. So a lot of the cargo has been flown in and then immediately transited. We changed this strategy a couple of years ago. So we have now a strategy which is based on 3 pillars. The first pillar is still, of course, that we want to attract cargo airlines. As you know, we have not really passenger traffic. So we are focusing purely on the freighter business. So there we do what we call farming. So we are farming with existing airlines. So as you know, we have a big portfolio of around 40 cargo airlines. So we want to grow with these airlines. A good example is our home carrier, Challenge Airlines, that is also has very ambitious plans to grow. But we are also now permanently attracting new airlines. So number one, airlines capacity. But of course, you need to fill these capacities. So equally important for us is the development of our forwarder footprint. This is something that is rather new in Liege. So we are actively talking to forwarders to convince them to use Liège as their primary European location for consolidate and deconsolidate cargo. So this is something that in the past did not happen. And thirdly, we are pretty much focusing on certain verticals, or you can call it commodities. So there is a strong focus on the development of e-commerce. There is a strong focus in developing on perishables. So we are quite active to attract from Africa, from South America, a lot of volumes to our airports. But also, for example, horses, animals. We are handling 7,000 horses per year. And also pharma is, of course, also a commodity that is getting increasingly important. So this is a new strategy to focus equally on these three pillars.
Okay. You mentioned about how you want to develop the cargo airline portfolio. Give me an idea about how you are attracting the airlines in the first place. Why should any of these airlines come to your airport?
Number one, it is a dedication for cargo. As I just said, Liege Airport is more or less a full cargo, full freighter airport. So I always say we speak the voice of the cargo airlines. So being completely focused on that, we know exactly what the cargo airlines need. It is about 24/7 operation. So we have no night curfew. We have no restrictions in the night for any kind of aircraft. Number two, we have no slots. As you know, a lot of cargo airlines, they have a very flexible schedule. Sometimes I say they have a letter of intent to operate a freighter at a certain time frame. Obviously, other major airports, they are quite restricted in terms of slots, etc. We have a lot of free capacities, both on the air side and also on the warehouse side. So for every kind of operation, we have the possibility to add them even on very short notice, so we can scale up our capacities. It is a location of Liege Airport. As I just said, we are situated in the heart of Europe, in the middle of a big import and of a big export area. We have a dedicated team, a dedicated commercial team, which is supporting also the airline development. So we are helping them, of course, to set up the operation in Liège together with our handling partners. As you know, we have also 4 handlers based in Liège, and to name it, it's Avia Partner, it's Challenge Handling, Swissport, and WFS. But we are also commercially supporting our airlines. So what we are doing is we are bringing them together with forwarders, with shippers, with e-commerce companies. So we actively develop the market for the airlines in Liège. And last but not least, it is also, of course, a fact that from a cost perspective, we are much more attractive than bigger airports because they have a big infrastructure. The costs are much, much higher. So we have a completely focused infrastructure on cargo that also makes us quite attractive in terms of costs. And last but not least, we have also quite a very good support when it comes to fuel. We have the direct access to a fuel pipeline. So we can always handle the right number of fuel. There is no fuel shortage. And that was an issue the last couple of years that also some European airports were struggling in getting sufficient fuel. So these I would call the main success factors of Liege Airport we are having for airlines.
Okay, as you said, you also need to fill in this capacity, right? So how you are attracting your customers, the shippers, for example. And you mentioned few things like the consolidation and deconsolidation. Give me an idea about why they should come. What are the facilities that you have, and how Liege is connected to other parts of Europe, which is an important part of attracting these customers.
Yeah. So number one, again, also for them, it's a lot of about dedication and flexibility. So we are putting a lot of efforts in, let's say, developing fast processes for handling, for the takeover from cargo ULDs, from the land side to the air side. And also together, obviously, with our handling partners, the airport is investing a lot in dedicated facilities, cooling facilities, fast lanes. We are also putting internal SLAs and procedures in place to monitor the quality and the speed of the handler. And again, also in the commercial team, there is a very strong focus, and also in my commercial team, there is a strong forwarder focus. So we also say we try to speak the language of the forwarders. So we really try to learn from them what is important for them, what is needed for them in terms of resources, in terms of capacities, in terms of infrastructure. Part of our master plan is also that we will now develop dedicated areas, we call them second line areas, which are dedicated for the development of facilities for forwarders to cater the very specific needs that forwarders have for certain commodities like pharma, like perishables, but also like e-commerce. Also, we are working very close together with the local authorities like customs, like food control, because we also know that for forwarders it is important that the authorities are also pretty much supportive. Of course, we have the European rules that everybody needs to follow, but especially the Belgian authorities and the Liège authorities are pretty much business minded. So we always try to find a good balance between, let's say, we need to follow the rules, but there should be always enough room for flexibility and dedication to support the needs of the forwarders.
Okay. One very interesting thing that I read about Liege Airport recently is about your plan to convert the airport from a transit hub to a multimodal platform. Okay. I know about the railway infrastructure that you have. For example, you're trying to build that. Give me an idea about what does it really mean? What does a multimodal platform, an airport becoming a multimodal platform really mean?
Yeah, so you are right. Actually, we are already, by coincidence, we are a little bit a multimodal platform. Obviously, we have the airport activities, which has been, let's say, the historic part of Liege Airport, and the future, of course, will be also a very important part. We are also situated at the crossroads of three major European motorways, which are connecting the ports at the North Sea, for example, the port of Antwerp and Rotterdam, which are, of course, two major big maritime ports with Germany, but also with Eastern Europe. But of course, we have also roads there coming from the south of Europe going to the north. You also mentioned the rail platform. So directly next to the airport, and it's really, you can even see the railway track from my office at the airport. We have a rail operator, and there we welcome already daily trains from China, but we have also rail connections to Italy, to Greece, and also to Spain. The fourth element is that the port of Liège is the third biggest inland port of Europe. And this port is only 5 km away of the airport, but we are sharing the same customs area. And that's, of course, something very unique, especially for major logistics companies that, of course, are not only doing business for air cargo, but also doing business in rail, in a road, and also in maritime. So they can use the same area, they can use the same customs area, and in the future, they can also use their warehouses in this area for all kinds of transport. And our goal is to bring these modes of transport together around the airport, and our master plan is also supporting that. So we are foreseeing in the eastern part of the airport, we are foreseeing a big area which we want to transform together with local partners and with European partners into a multimodal logistics area. There, the logistics players will benefit from the very special customs regime, and they will also benefit that all these four modes of transport are connected there. So this is currently a vision, but we are already in the middle of transforming this vision into reality. And I am inviting everybody that is interested in that development to contact Liege Airport to give you further information about this.
We are here in Air Cargo, China. We are here in Shanghai. Give me an idea about the kind of business that is coming to Liege from China. Okay, you already mentioned that Liege Airport is the biggest hub for e-commerce in Europe, for example, and there is a big e-commerce boom that is there in the news right now. So, give us an idea about what is happening between these two countries, mainly.
So you are right. We have been developed over the last couple of years as a leading European hub for e-commerce. It has a lot of to do that Belgium has been one of the first European countries actively working together with China. And obviously there was Liege Airport was the very first airport that put a focus already 5-7 years ago on e-commerce. During that time, e-commerce was still something very exotic. I mean, it was coming up, but Liège put a lot of efforts. A big part of the success is the so-called e-hub of Chanyao. Chanyao is the logistics arm of the Alibaba Group, and they set up 3 years ago a big European hub facility in Liège. So there is a very strong cooperation between Liège Airport and Chanyao to further develop this business. We also created over the years what I always called a Chinese ecosystem in Liège. So at Liège Airport and around Liège Airport, we have a lot of Chinese, Belgium, or even international logistics players which are focusing on supporting the e-commerce community with handling services, trucking services, fulfillment services. So Chinese customers that are coming over now to Liège can really benefit from this, let's say, ecosystem we have created. As I said, also, the Belgian customs is also pretty much supporting that development. So they have also invested a lot in IT infrastructure. We have also sufficient staff there to do all the customs checks and support the development. On top of that, we are also working together with Belgium and also with the local economy development companies to make it also attractive that Chinese companies are investing in business in Liège. And all that now really created a certain momentum for Liège. And especially now since the beginning of this year, and you are talking about this e-commerce tsunami, we are really seeing that more and more Chinese e-commerce companies, and obviously you are talking about Temu, Shein, but also recently TikTok, they are also using Liège as the center point for their business. They really feel at home there. They feel treated very well. We are also welcoming more and more Chinese carriers. So we just recently announced, and also Stat Media was already announcing that Beijing Capital Airlines started a new service from Nanchang to Liège. I cannot tell you now too much, it's a little bit too early, but we will also announce the next couple of weeks at least 2 additional Chinese carriers will start flying e-commerce traffic from China to Liège.
That's very interesting. A quick follow-up question about this, because these e-commerce volumes, cargo, they have to move really fast.
Yes.
So what is the kind of turnaround that you give at Liège Airport and how quickly they move to other parts of Europe?
So obviously there, I cannot give you too much insight, obviously, but we really developed, again, together with our local partners, a very fast handling procedure, which is also supported by the digital development in the Liège Airport, which I might speak later a little bit more. So usually you're really talking about very few hours that a full freighter, you're talking about the 747, 777, that these volumes then move from the apron via what we call fast lanes. So these are fast lanes for intake ULDs. And then these ULDs are moved in the customs area to the final warehouses then for deconsolidation, for breakdown. And then they are also processed very fastly for the delivery to France, to the Netherlands, to Germany, or to eastern part of Europe. So there is really a very strong cooperation between the airport, the handlers, the logistics parties, the airlines, but also to the authorities that are making us, I would say, really as the fastest airport for e-commerce handling in Europe.
Okay. One important topic of discussion in the aviation industry right now is about the sustainability. How important is that for Liège Airport? What are the efforts that you are taking from your side to promote some of the maybe the sustainable aviation fuel, for example, SAF, or any other methods of decarbonizing the aviation industry?
Obviously, for us, this is also a very important topic, and we are investing a lot of money and we are putting a lot of efforts there. We have obviously also inside the company, we have a dedicated business unit, which is just working on these kind of things. You are talking about SAF. So yes, we have been one of the very few first airport in Europe that is actively offering SAF. So as I just said, we are directly linked to a fuel pipeline. We are also directly linked to one of the first European sites that are producing SAF. So SAF is available. We are actively promoting that, and we even had already the first flight operated with SAF. So this is one element. Obviously, also in our airport development, we are putting a lot of efforts in things like solar panels. So as an airport operator, developing also warehouses, infrastructure, we have a lot of roofs. So we are using that roofs actively installing solar panels. There are certain other things that we are actively working. The clear goal is to be carbon zero in 2030. We are also a member of the Chacko Blue Sky program, which you know is also in our industry program, which is very well recognized. So we are an active member there. We have already reached the level 2 of the program. We are really looking forward to go for the level 3. Also internally, we are completely replacing our own fleet in a complete e-fleet. Also, we are working together actively with our handlers to change the entire GSE equipment, which nowadays, of course, is diesel powered, also to change it in a complete fleet, which is e-powered. And recently we had the first announcement that our handlers now started also to replace the fleet into complete E. Also, of course, we have an active program to support the change in the aircraft fleets of the airlines. So we are also making it much more attractive for modern, less noisy and fuel efficient aircraft like the 777. In the future, it will be the A350. So also there, we are working actively to be attractive for these kind of aircraft.
Some interesting initiatives and efforts. What is the kind of response that you see from some of your stakeholders to some of these initiatives that you took? What are they saying? What is the kind of response that you're getting from them?
So we are really getting a very positive response, obviously from the airlines. As you know, some of our customers, they have also very, very ambitious plans. So there, if we are offering these kind of things and if we actively approach them, we are getting really a very strong response. But sometimes we are also approached by our airline customers that are really seeing that kind of developments. I also must say that all of our 4 handlers, they have also very, very ambitious plans in that kind of direction. Last but not least, I was already mentioning the forward development. And as you know, there are also a lot of forwarders that are putting a lot of efforts, especially to operate flight for SAF, for example, but also when it comes to the development of new warehouses. So they always are chasing us also actively to have really CO2 efficient warehouses, to invest in green facades and all the kind of stuff. So I really have the feeling that this topic is getting increasingly important for our industry, and that you have a lot of active developments. And from our side, of course, we want to go in cooperation with our stakeholders. We actively want to develop these kind of things.
Torsten, thank you so much for joining us today, and all the best for all your ambitious targets.
Thank you very much for the interview, for taking the time. Thank you very much.